So, the fire fade, what everybody wants to learn how to do. So all this is, when it's broken down, is just a fade. So the first thing we need to do is we need to write out our colors. And this particular thing only has 5 colors in it. Black, red, neon orange, a kind of in between neon orange and the yellow. And that's it. I added trim bands. So technically there's a black here, yellow, orange, well, that light orange, neon orange, red, and then it goes into a black band. We do 5 black. And this is also a great thing for you guys to see how to do those trim bands at the initial start of your guide wraps and stuff. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1, if you will. Then we're going to do 5 red, 5 of the neon orange, 5 of the light orange, and then 5 yellow. Those are just the little trim bands that are at the beginning. Now we start with black, and I think I did 10 turns to kind of lock everything in and also put the inlays in, and then we go to our fade. So we're going to go from black to red to orange to light orange, yellow. And we're going to do a 3-to-1 for these guys, so we're just filling in our chart real quick so we have something to go by. So this chart is just reference to what we're actually wrapping, and it's a 3-to-1 shading chart between all the colors. Here, and then 1, 2, 3. So we end with yellow. Adding to our chart, we go from yellow to light orange, back to the orange, back to red, back to black. And basically we're just reversing the colors that we just did previously, but we're also incorporating them into the same shading technique. So every time that we have 3 threads, we put another one down. If this confused you because I didn't explain it very well in this video, I'd be happy to do another one. Just let me know in the comments. But that's what it looks like when it's finished. And now we have to go back to repeating what we closed it out with. Black, 10 turns, and then we have our trims that are coming in. This is supposed to be black, yellow, light orange, orange, red. So red 5, orange 5, light orange 5, yellow 5, black 5. Okay, literally just a fade chart. And this is when I'm doing my guide wraps and everything. Like, I have pages for my guide wraps of what I did. What we're going to start with first is black is going to be the main thing. So remember, we had 10 turns of black. That's what's anchoring everything in place. The beginning initial part of it, the way that I do it, is a little bit of a pain in the butt, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. It really is. So we're going to pull off trim or pieces of thread for our turns at the beginning of this wrap. Alright, I'm just pulling off long enough pieces. I always pull off a little extra because nothing is more than a pain in the butt to be like 1 turn short on something, and then you have to redo it. Technically with that other one, I actually wrapped over a black under wrap, so that's why that little black piece is peekabooing, and it really isn't going to make sense for us to do the black trim on this because it's black. So we're not even going to worry with that piece. If it was a white blank, I definitely would. Alright, so these pieces that we just pulled off, I like to take them, I like to make them equal. Now, everything is pulling this way, right? Because I'm wrapping towards the right. So I need to put all of my extra on the left side. Alright, and this is just to secure it in a straight line. And it's going to wrap, and it's going to be a little bit of a booger, but just trust the process, okay? So this is just my tag. I'm starting it. I'm going to cheat and use that same piece of tape. Now, before I do anything else, because I have that black thread secured right here, right? It's wrapped, it's spun, it's taped down. We've got to put pull-throughs in here. And I need to place 4 pull-throughs for each of the colors that we have on the outside. So I'm just going to put those in on that first band side by side and start wrapping. I'm going to do 3 wraps and then start working on pulling these through, grabbing my first one and keeping them unwound from each other. I'm going to go ahead and turn. So we're doing 5 of these. I'm holding this in my hand as the thing is turning. And yes, we'll have to back up off of it. It'll be fine. It should have gone a little bit that way. 3, 4, 5. 5 is going to be a big trim, but that'll be okay. I probably would have gone with 3 and it'd been fine. Find your first pull through, get it away from the other ones, Don't worry so much about what's happening on the right hand side. And pull it through. Yes, we have to back this up and get it off of each other. It wasn't supposed to do that. And once I unwind that and pull that thread back onto the tensioner, I'm going to grab the orange and start wrapping as well. In this video, this is how I have been doing it, where I have the tensioner just there and I have to unwind it and go, but I got tired of dealing with that. So I tried a new method. And that was just to pick up the next color and wrap around the blank. Now, I've never actually done this before because I work from the front, not the back, so it's harder for me to see what's going on in the back, and I usually crisscross, so that's why there's big gaps here. Since it was the very first time, I didn't know to pack before I started doing this, so I'm struggling to get those threads together, but practice makes perfect on all these things, right? Go to pull it through, pull it till it gets underneath, and then pack the rest of it. Here I was checking it. It did good, so I'm going to do the yellow one that way too. So that's two different methods that you can do your inlays. Just make sure you don't cross them. I'd probably pack them every couple of turns, depending on how many you were doing, just to keep it easier to clean it up. But it worked out great. That's probably going to be my new method for doing inlays. So I pulled it through, I cleaned it up a little bit. I haven't straightened this 100%, but that's okay. So I wrapped around, I started trying to kind of clean it up a little bit more. Now it's time to get rid of all this extra tags that are hanging out here and just to cut them off. And I actually am going to take this black thread and pull it to the bottom so everything's on the same side and cut that off too. Now I went and unwrapped this 2 times so I could put my inlays in. So now I'm putting the short side and the long side all the way down the blank straight as I can. And then I'm going to make the final 10 turns. So I think that was 7 I had to do. And then pick up my first color, which is the red. Tape everything else down and pull extra of the black off the spool and cut it. So I have all this extra. This is the one that I'm working with now. And then I've cut the black completely loose from the spool. The thread carriage is your anchor. Anytime we switch threads, we move things around, it gets anchored back onto the thread carriage. Everything comes over the top. Once you have that secured, you can pull down on it and let go. So according to our pattern, it's 3 black, then 1 red. Then we pick up 2 black, so 2 turns of black. 1, 2. Red now does 2 turns. This method is going to cause a little bit of a spiral. And now we are going to 1 black. 3 red. 1, 2, 3. The red gets locked into the thread carriage, so I no longer have to hold it in my hand. Because now I have to undo the other threads and pull out the neon orange and put the black away. And once you do it a few times, you learn a method for getting the thread unwrapped pretty fast. 2-hand method is great, where you've got one pulling it over, the other one's feeding the entire bit. But unwind everything. Always take everything off. So when I'm locking into the thread carriage, it's just like I'm feeding it. I put it through the little loop, and I put it through the tensioner. Once the tensioner has it, I don't have to worry about it. I can just go back to whatever I need to do free-handed. And the belt is on so that as I'm moving the thread, I'm not going to accidentally knock it off. We let go on the tensioner, and now this picks back up. So 1, 2, 2 for the orange. Remember to pack as you go. Then 1 red and 3 orange. Now we're switching to the lighter orange. So now we do 2 of the neon orange. 2 of the light orange, 1 of the neon, and 3 of the light orange. Switching to the yellow, we're doing 1 yellow, 2 of the light orange, 2 yellow, 1 of the light orange, and then 3 yellow. And that finishes the first transition, getting to about the middle ways of this wrap. So this time I won't lock it down, I'll flip it back, because this is the next color I need, right? So yes, this one is going to dip down a little bit more. Feel free about in this area to insert new colors if you want all of that stuff to stay in like a very similar spot. It does help to pull up on it some too, but in my experience it still likes to yank itself down. So now we're going back to the light orange with 2, 1 of the yellow, and 3 of the light orange. Next one up is the neon orange, 1 again, and this is just following that little chart that we wrote earlier. 2 of the yellow, or the light orange, I'm sorry. 2 of the neon. 1 light orange. And 3 of the neon. And this is basically the entire thing. Like, it's just basically flipping thread back and forth and then just winding it down. So now our next color we need to bring in is the red. Tape everything out of place. 1 red, 2 of the neon orange, 2 red, 1 neon orange, and 3 red. Next color is the black, and we are almost done. So 1 black going in. Also, a little fun fact, if you get in this and you forget how many turns you've done, however many times you have to unwind this thread, 1, 2, that's how many turns you did. So now we're doing 2 turns of black, 1 turn of red, and our very last of the fade will be 3 turns of black. Now at this point we need to tape all of our stuff down, and we need to put pull-throughs in, but instead of 4 we have to put 5 in this time, because we also have to close off the black. So we've got 4. I like to do it right in this area so it's easier to keep up with all of them, and now we're doing our 10 turns. And once we finish that, we're cutting the black away and doing a pull through. Doesn't matter which one really. I usually suggest going from top to bottom, but mine have turned, so I do my black on the top and I kind of work backwards with the other ones. So now we get that tag out of the way. I highly recommend taping them down because they get to be a booger sometimes. And then get your red out. Tape the other ones down. 5 turns. If you get to this point and you realize that the tension is too tight and you can't get them through, grab yourself some forceps to wrap around your pull through so you can get it out easier. And pack them each time as you go. Next up is the neon, 5 turns of that. Try to keep your pull through separated so it's easier to find. Sometimes with mine, I get the legs crossed, it gets to be a booger. And just keep repeating. Now the light orange, 5 turns. Cut it. Example A of it being a booger. So I've gotten some of those threads. When I taped it down, I crossed over the legs of the pull through, so I couldn't find it. And then the yellow. And that finishes up the wrap. So that's how you do trims at the beginning and the end. And that's how you do kind of like the fire fade, if you will. Tag it up so it's nice and tight. Release all those tags, and now it's time to cut those off. If you get a fresh razor blade, pull against it. Put the blade flat on it. You'll basically cause them to pop under. If you get some fuzzies like there, it's okay. We can pack that thread back and forth to get it to disappear. And you just literally sit here for a good few minutes just pushing those threads back and forth, and eventually they will go away. And that's just cleaning it up, and that's the wrap. As I said before, that turn is going to happen. If you don't want it to continue on with this one, put new ones in. As we look at it from far away, that's what I enjoy about this thing, because you can put it on a rod on the guide wraps, and it has this like it breathes kind of effect. It's not picking it up great on that camera for whatever reason, but you see what I'm trying to get at. It has this kind of like life to it, if you will.